is, and what we've been saying all year. The next challenge for us is a team that we didn't play very well against in the first game. I give Ohio State a lot of credit because they made shots. They're equally, you want to use the term hot, they're playing as well as we have been. And they've been finding ways to win games. They're doing it with their defense. They pose a problem in terms of Big Wesson in the middle. Is a guy that has really expanded his game. I think he's shooting 70% from the three in his last five. He's a guy that is a handful on the block as well. And then you've got another freshman in this league, in Luka Muhammad, that has really stepped his game up the last five. He's shooting 57, 58% from the three. And a team that, again, is finding their way as the season has progressed, and is finding ways to win games. And that's a tribute to Chris and that team. And we're going to have to go in there and play extremely well.
Brad, you mentioned the Penn State game last night and the win in quality of the league. Does it also speak to how hard it is to win on the road?
Oh, there's no doubt. And I've been a part of 3 Power 5 leagues, and I've never seen anything like it in this league. In terms of one, the venues are great, but you put big crowds, you put the energy in some of these buildings. It's a huge advantage. And it makes it very, very difficult. You got to be a tough-minded. You've got to really execute. And you look at what Michigan State did at Wisconsin last night. There's a reason they've been at the top of the league. They've been well established in terms of their toughness and their ability to execute down the stretch.
How much is the next step going on the road?
I think it's a big part of anything. I think when you have the goal of trying to win conference championships and be successful in the postseason, winning on the road is something that you have to learn to accomplish. You have to learn to do it. And it's a locker room full of guys committed to each other. It's a locker room that that you have to execute, and there's got to be some toughness beyond that. And you usually don't shoot the ball as well on the road at home, and so you've got to find ways to make up for that. And loose balls, 50-50 balls, offensive rebounds, toughness things are important, and those are things that you have to do.
I realize we're more than halfway through the season, and this may be a byproduct of just being at this point, but how much have guys bought into roles, where they're at, feeling comfortable with all of that?
Well, I think it's one of the reasons we started to turn the corner a little bit and have some success is, everybody understands, Dre's a great example, very dialed into what his role is, and his minutes are going to be the same whether he started or comes off the bench. I think, we've become very accustomed with and acclimated to Adonis coming off the bench. We're going to get 12 to 15, 16 minutes a game, and so we're defined a lot more in who we are, and that's helped us, and that's one of the reasons we're playing better.
Kind of going off of that, the bench unit, especially over these last 3 games, kind of solidified itself in the rotations. How much have that unit meant to you guys just so far this recent stretch?
Well, you guys know me by now that I'm as concerned about the bench as I am who starts, making sure we've got productivity off the bench. But there's not a lot of slippage, and Adonis's play has helped solidify that middle. Dre has been just incredible in terms of what he's done in the last 10 ball games. He's continued to improve, and then we've gotten some inconsistent play, but yet solid play from Kipper, Tevian, and Allen, and I thought Allen was terrific in the last game. So we're getting better there.
Coach Io and Georgie win Big Ten Freshman of the Week, Big Ten Player of the Week. First time in the league that 2 different freshmen won that award. What does that mean to your program?
Well, I think it speaks a lot to our team. Individual awards usually happen when you're winning, when you're having success, and obviously, Georgie's success came, because guys got in the ball and were able to do some things to be successful, and he finished it. Io's, I thought a couple times had great opportunities to win Freshman of the Week award. Speaks to how good our league is with some of the young guys. But, you know, he's had a sensational week, and it's big for our program. It's big to have guys that are young and accomplishing great things, and we can sell that in a lot of different ways.
How would you say they're handling the success and the attention they're getting?
You know, we talk about it a lot. You know, you got to be careful you don't drink poison. And, you know, it's about the locker room, and it's about the guys in there, and those are the only thing that matters. And I try to keep it very real with them and very honest. Some things we didn't do very well against Rutgers that we've got to get better at. And, you know, try not to make too much out of it, and just be consistent in who we are every single day.
In terms of your lineup, again, you talked about Demonte Miller earlier this season as being a guy that likes to come on, especially referring to that. What have you liked from him, you know, in that starting role when he's out there?
Well, he's been a lockdown defender. He gives us a sense of toughness. You know, he got 2 or 3 rebounds the other night that were just tremendous rebounds, that were effort rebounds. His IQ defensively. If DeMonte does one thing, it's usually over helping. But it's one thing that I think we've got to get other guys dialed into when he's not in the game. And but he's been exceptional here in terms of his playing his role on this team.
Brett, is there one thing that's been a theme for some of these road losses, or has that been kind of dictated by the opponents?
No, I think every game's got its own identity, so to speak. You know, our last game in Minnesota, you know, we got a 5-point lead. We give up a couple offensive rebounds that we should have had both of them, to be quite honest. And those are the little plays that you have to make on the road to win. And they capitalized with 2 threes off those offensive rebounds. And to win on the road, you've got to have some a little extra toughness and a little extra grit, and you know, maybe we haven't had that quite enough.
What do you think's the area you've improved the most since the last time you faced Ohio State?
My hope in every area, when watching the film, that was, I don't know if that was painful or a comedy show or maybe all of the above, but I think defensively we're much more solid in terms of what we're trying to do, and I hope that's the case. We went the first 6.5 minutes of that ball game and never made more than 2 passes. I'd like to think we're a little better offensively in terms of executing in the half court. But that being said, they're better as well. They're doing some things better. So, you know, you'll see 2 improved basketball teams tomorrow night.
Maybe what's the change you've seen in Ohio State? I mean, it's been 2 months since you've been.
Yeah, and again, they fought through a few things. A young kid was out for a little bit. You know, I think they're shooting the heck out of it. They're getting, you know, almost 40% of their point production's coming from the 3. You've really seen them expand Wesson's game in terms of him initiating offense, him popping, shooting the 3. Then you've seen, you know, the growth of Luther Muhammad and you know, all those guys, Musa Jallo, right on down the list, all those guys have been very, very productive and kind of grown into their roles as well.
With the Big Ten, do you see it as a conference that maybe values big guys more? I mean, Nick Wharton and Matt coming at each other last night. Georgie and Caleb Wesson. I mean, it seems like every team has a pretty dominant big guy.
Well, I think, I think that's the kind of the history of the Big Ten is there's value in those guys. I think it's the style of play that the teams choose to play. But, you know, it's to each their own, really. You know, I think that, you know, it helps when you have it. Villanova had a lot of success, win a national championship without one. So, but in this league, size helps, and you've got a guy like Wesson we face next who's 270 pounds and very, very skilled, and you've got to account for him. And so being able to account for guys like that is important.
Adonis seems like was a natural fit when you guys played to go up against Wesson, but how much has he kind of changed and settled in since that first meeting, and how important is he?
Well, he was just barely back. I mean, it was really, you know, I don't want to say unfair. He was ready to play. He was healthy, but he had so little experience in what we were doing at that time. You know, his game has matured. He's growing. He's grown a lot, and you know, he's a guy that we feel comfortable with, and he's guarding ball screens better, he's executing offensively better, he's impacting the game by getting to the free throw line, his hard post-ups and drawing fouls, which is something that, we didn't look for him to do that. First game, we were just trying to get him 2 or 3 trips off the court without him needing oxygen. And, we kind of got that, gotten by that.
How much do you have to get to prepare for defenses throwing everything at Georgie now? Maybe he's at the top of the scouting report? I don't know.
Well, I think he's going to be an option, there's no doubt. I think we're talking about a guy that's going to warrant a double team. Ohio State doubles anyway. They do that a lot to protect Wesson. So, I think that, we've spent some time here recent talking about that and putting some stuff in to counter that. But, that's one of the things that plays right into Georgie's hands is, he's an excellent passer and he's very unselfish. So, in doing that, we've thought all along we could run offense through him. And, we hope that makes our other guys better.
Defensively, for George, between now and first Ohio State game, where are his fouls per game?
I don't know whether I permitted it. I mean, we're keeping him on the court a lot more. I'm not as knock on wood. I'm not as worried about him. Once he picks up his first, immediately collecting his second. His positioning's always been good, and he's so solid. With that he avoids it. He's got a hard job. Wesson puts a lot of fouls on people. He's top 10 in the country in putting fouls on guys. So, but it's not just Georgie. We've got to do our job on the perimeter and help make those touches hard for him.
If I remember right, that first game you guys had a halftime lead and lost in the second half. How have you grown in that spot just to kind of close out games?
Well, I think that I hope we have. I hope we've. That's a game we missed 18 layups and really played with no flow offensively. And I hope we're executing better. They went right at us with Wesson, and that's something we've got to do up in the second half. We know what people are trying to do. We've got to be able to take it away, and those were our mistakes. But offensively, we've got to help ourselves a little bit by not missing 18 layups.
Coach, you mentioned, you liked Allen's minutes over the weekend. Where do you see him progressing, and is he close to maybe having a breakthrough?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And he's had 2 great days of practice. Yesterday was as good a practice as he's had since he's been in a uniform. But he's buying in defensively. He's getting to where he's contributing. I love his length. Gets his hands on balls. He's a rebounder. We all know he can really shoot it, and I think it's just the opportunities to get comfortable, and he can be that guy that can be a productive offensive guy off the bench, and we're starting to see that in practice. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.